So I now have the case middle, and it's been machined to accept the 4 lugs, and these are basically just square grooves into the case. The lugs I have made from 6mm square wire, and what I've done is rolled them out in the rolling mill to about 3.5mm thick, and I've also machined this angle face on the front of each lug. And the reason for doing that is so that I get a nice angle for the lug when it's been soldered into position. So the next stage is to basically position this case middle in this upright position, and then what I'll do is I'll solder the lugs into position. And at the moment, well, this lug here is still quite tight in its groove, and what I need to do is just to make sure that that's a very loose drop-in fit, so that when the whole case is heated up and I apply the solder, then the solder will flow throughout the whole joint. At the moment it's too tight, and that will prevent the flowing of the solder. So this is the next stage, just to take a little bit of material off the side here on a bit of emery paper, and just to give me the right thickness. We now set up for the soldering process, and what I've done is to just hold this case middle vertical and just support it with these insulation blocks. The lugs are now in position, and I've put borax around the joint, which helps to keep away the oxygen and helps the solder to flow. And also I've put 2 small fillets of solder on the inside of each lug, and hopefully when everything's heated up that'll be pulled through the joint. I'll put a small amount there at the moment. Hopefully it'll be enough, but I could always add to that at a later stage. So now the plan is just to heat it up, always remembering to heat the case middle first, get the maximum amount of heat into the case middle. You don't really bother heating the lugs, because what you want to do is to pull the solder through the lugs. If you put heat directly onto the lugs, then the solder will bypass the case middle and just spread onto the lugs, which is not what we're after. Just very, very gently getting some heat into the case. You can see that the borax is now drying and holding the soldering position. And what I'm now doing is just applying some heat more directly onto the inside of the ring, really just below the lug, where the lug is going to hopefully solder into position. turn up the heater slightly. Now we're getting to temperature, so I can just increase the heat a little more. I'm really just concentrating on this left hand lug now. And that's it. For the left hand lug, the solder's melted, and I'll just concentrate on the right hand lug now. It all happens in an instant. Getting good heat into the body of the ring there, and it's melting now, the solder. A little more heat and hopefully it should flow through the joint. Heat seems to be struggling. That's it. There we are. So we'll just let that cool now. So we now have the two lugs in position, and again what we've now got to do is just to heat up the case very gently, get a body of heat into it, and then solder them. So the lugs are in, the borax has now been put on, and also I've cut a strip of solder and put those on the inside of the lugs. So now we're just ready for the heating process. So very gentle at first, just while the borax dries. Check that the solder's in the right position and hasn't jumped. That's fine. and that's it.